Broke Ride Media.
You're now listening to The Straight Shooter Show with your host, The Straight Shooter.
All right. Welcome to The Straight Shooter Show. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to spend with us. It really means a lot to us. We put a lot of work in here for you guys. Hope you are enjoying each episode. I really wanted to talk today about, because I get a lot of messages about couples that are like, my spouse or my girlfriend or my boyfriend, I'm just not feeling like they are that interested in me like they were. And a pretty common advice that I would give, for that is, are you still dating them? Are you still doing the things with them that you did in the beginning of the relationship? Are you still as romantic as you were? You need to be constantly dating the person that you're with. Always be, of course, everybody wants to get lazy. Not lazy. Everybody wants to get comfortable. Everybody wants to get comfortable with their spouse. But, if you want to keep the fire alive, you have to do things. It will die out. It will dampen out if you don't do things to stoke that fire. And the things that you do in the beginning of a relationship are the things that you have to do. If it's important to you, everybody's heard the saying, if it's important to you, you will find a way. If it's not, you will find an excuse. So here's where the problem really lies with that advice that I give, is that sometimes that people will say, well, you're right, I'm not doing this or that. And so, they will start to do those things that they did while they were dating in the beginning. But the other person doesn't respond or doesn't react to, this person's change in behavior. And at some point, people have to determine if it's just too late. Sometimes people have already, they're already out mentally and emotionally, and it doesn't really matter what you do. You can go back to trying to do all the romantic things or the spontaneous things that you did, or, get up early in the morning, cook them breakfast or rub their feet or whatever. It's not really matter what you do. If they have already checked out emotionally and mentally, it's not going to change anything for you. And nobody can tell you when is the right time or to make that determination. Especially couples that have kids, maybe you try for a year and you're not getting a response. If you are sincerely giving the effort every day to try to date your partner for a year and they don't respond, is that the right time to get out and just say, well, I'm done? Or do you give it 2 years or 5 years? How much of your life do you give if you are trying to be open communication, do the dating thing? Nobody can answer that question. And people want me to answer that too. When is it now the time for me to get out? And so people always tell me that I stayed in my second marriage way too long, but I had a son with her, and, I wanted to try to work with her to make that marriage, successful. I didn't ever want to give up. Who wants to get divorced? But for people to say, well, you stayed in too long, well, that's maybe from the outside, maybe that's the case. But when you're in it and you're trying to make things work, then who's to say? Who's to say when is the right time, or, that they're not going to turn around? So this whole thing was just led, for me to talk about this morning was that make sure that you are doing the right thing in the relationship. If they are not being responsive to you, then you just have to determine how long do you try and are having open communication with them. And if they don't want to communicate with you either, that's another factor. If you're trying to talk to them and they bottle up and shut down on you, you might want to get out sooner than rather than later. And I'm not a big advocate for divorce. I'm not trying to push people to just give up and move on and try something else. But I'm also not a big advocate of wasting time of your life. If you're never going to get that response that you need, that you are craving, that you want, that romantic, life with your partner, then how many years of your life do you want to give up?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. That's why it's so important from the very beginning is to vet these people. And we've talked about it since the beginning, because if you're not compatible and if you got married young or something like that, then you're probably spinning your wheels. I'm not saying not to, just like you said, I'm not saying don't work on it, right?
Yeah.
Definitely work on it. Try to see if you can figure it out. I met a woman that I was doing business with in what I do on the side from here. And she was married for 60 years before the guy died. And she knew that wasn't the guy for him in the very beginning. But
her.
But how it was back then is that you just stayed in the relationship and dealt with it. I mean, what do you think about that? You think that if you think it should go back to the old ways where if you made a mistake and married the wrong person, you think you should just waste your whole life and just deal with it?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's a hard one for me. That's a hard one for me because once you're married, you should be married. Well, especially if a person's cheating or running all over you or beating you or stuff like that, you can't stay in that. You can't stay in that, right?
No. I'll tell y'all a story. It just popped into my head. I'd only been married to my second wife for, I'd only been with her for maybe 2 years. Maybe 2.5 years. And already our, intimate life was suffering. I mean,
you said this is your first wife? I'm sorry.
My second wife.
Second, okay.
My son's mom.
Okay.
Yeah. And the house that we lived in was a house that I'd owned since I was 21 or 22, I think, 23, somewhere in there is when I bought it. And I'd lived there with my first wife. And I'll circle back to why I told you that. So anyways, I never screamed and yelled. I never fought with her, our relationship. She was, at that time, our son there was 2 at home that didn't go to school. Or maybe one of them went to school half a day. She was a stay-at-home mom. She was busy all day. She kept the house very clean. She, laundry was always done. I mean, she was doing her part when it comes to the house. But, I mean, I was working, over 60 hours a week, providing. She had 3 sons before I got with her, so there was 4 kids. And I just felt like, I was doing my role in the relationship. And I also made it a point. My parents were very good about watching the kids if I wanted to take her out, for just a date night, me and her. I just felt like I was romantic with her. I was doing everything I was supposed to with her. And when intimacy started to fail or, lack, I would question, I would say, what's going on? I mean,
yeah, of course.
It's been 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And,
yep.
And so normally she would just bottle up, shut down. She wouldn't, really have an answer. She wouldn't want to talk about it. We went to counseling, together, and she went to counseling by herself, and we had all our levels checked, to make, with a medical doctor. To
hormone levels.
Yeah, hormone levels. I mean, I was doing everything that I could do over this period of time to find, I want to get to the bottom of this because, I don't want a roommate, I don't want to just raise kids together.
No.
I want a romantic relationship with my wife.
Of course.
And so, this story that I was going to tell, it had been 2 or 3 weeks since we had been intimate. And I had approached her one evening, and she's like, my head really hurts tonight. I mean, I have a splitting headache, but tomorrow, if you get home from work early enough, we can have a couple of hours before the kids get home from doing whatever it was they were doing.
Couple hours? You got it like that?
Yeah.
Damn, dude. I'm like 20 minutes. Okay, go ahead.
So I was like, bet, no problem. I knew I had a light day at work the next day. I would get up at 2:30 to go to work and start at 4, and I could be off by 12:30 in the afternoon if everything went right. And I worked my ass off. I could, but it didn't happen very often. Most of the time I was working till 4, 5 o'clock, from 4 in the morning to 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah.
Most days. But she had promised, we were going to have sexy time.
Yep.
So I go to work. I'm adrenaline pumping. I'm like, I'm going to get this knocked out. I get my work. I haul ass up to, where I go.
Yeah.
I get all my freight unloaded. I'm just killing myself. I'm dripping with sweat, and I'm like, hell yeah, I got it all knocked out. And I jump back in the truck, and I got a 2-hour drive back, and I'm like, hell yeah. So I get off work at 12:30, and she volunteered at the church a lot, and she was at the church, and I texted her, and I was like, hey, or maybe I called her, and I said, hey, I'm going to be getting off at 12:30, okay? And she's like, okay. And so I go home, I take a shower, I jump in the bed, and I'm just like waiting. Okay, she should be here any minute, Where's 2 o'clock, 2:30? And I call her, and I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm up here at the church, whatever.
Yeah.
And I said, you said if I got off work that you were going to, we were going to have a couple of hours. And she's like, oh, I forgot all about that. I never jumped through hoops again.
No.
Ever. That was the last time I ever jumped through hoops.
Dude, it's so much more for a guy. And you can say that women and men are the same all you want. It is absolutely not true. Not true. For a guy, getting denied sex is the actual act of the sex itself is the least important thing.
Yes.
It's about you do all these things for your family, and most of the time the women don't see it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have my family on my mind. Everything I do, I have my family on my mind every day. And by having sex with me, it shows me that you're still attracted to me and that you appreciate what I do.
Yeah.
And that the act itself is just emotion, right? Because sex is sex.
Right.
It's just the motion of it. But there's so much more mindset and mentality, pride, if you will, affection, intimacy, that so much more it ties into sex than actually just the act itself.
Yeah.
It's so much more into that.
I did a video about a month ago that was about, a woman had asked me, intimacy, what does that mean to men? Is it just sex or not? And I was like, no.
Way more.
If it was just sex, why would a man get married? Most any man can go get sex,
Yep.
Even if he had to pay for it, he could do that.
Yeah.
And
you can find somebody to have sex with.
Yeah. Anybody can go get sex, but there is no intimacy in sex with a stranger.
Nope.
None.
Nope.
And so if it wasn't important to us as men, why would we get married?
Yep.
I want that intimacy with one woman, the woman that loves me, the woman that is supposed to care about me, that I care about. That is intimacy.
Yeah. Did you follow that girl? I sent you that video. You talk about this all the time, but what we're talking about today. But did you follow that girl I sent you the video on?
Yes.
She's an advocate for men wanting to have sex, and she says that same thing, dude, over and over again. And it's so much more. Like I've said this a million times on here, and I don't know if my wife knows if we talk about my sex life on here, but anyway, I'll probably end up letting her know. But we have sex every other day, no matter what. And like I've said a million times, I guarantee there has been nights that she did not want to do it, and there have been nights that I did not want to do it. But in order to keep everything that goes along with the relationship stable, we do that. And there was one night I was super stressed out, and I did not feel like doing it. And then we started doing it, and she got what she needed out of it. And then I stopped. I said, I can't do this. And then we had a talk afterwards, and she said, it's not going to bother me if you have nights like this where you're stressed, you're overwhelmed at work and stuff like that. It's not going to bother me if you just say that I don't want to do this, and I'll be okay, I promise. And I said, I know you will be. And I know it probably wouldn't impact our relationship in the grand scheme of things if I did that, but it may start a trend that goes into a very negative direction, to the point where Then if you just have a small, first off, you use these big things like I've got a big headache, so we're not going to do it tonight, right?
Yeah.
And then the headache's not going to be as bad next time. Well, now we're not doing it when we have headaches, right?
Yeah.
Then the next time your leg hurts, or then the next time you're stressed at work. But you are super stressed out. So you had an excuse. You have excuses. Those excuses are going to start getting smaller and smaller and smaller until next thing you know it, you're 5 years down the road and you're going 3 weeks without having sex with each other.
Right.
And you're using every excuse you can find to do it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like eventually, and especially the younger people that's listening to this, eventually sex is going to be great, but not as good as it once used to be. And sex is just going to be sex. But you still have to understand that there is still so much more tied up into it than just the act itself. And it's important.
I don't know. What did you just say?
To me, oh, yeah. All my guy friends look at me like I'm crazy. No, I'm not saying sex isn't great. Maybe you're not understanding me correctly. My other friend, I was talking about this week. But it's still not it's not as exciting as it used to be. For me, you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not just like wanting to go out and find it every chance I get. Maybe it's because I have sex every other day.
Well,
I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm explaining it properly.
No. So, sex with your wife, is it just as exciting now as it was when you first married?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's the
that's
same
what I
thing.
thought. That's what I thought you were saying, that as you get older, that sex with your partner, with your spouse, is not as exciting. Because I don't agree. I mean, I wouldn't have agreed with that.
I'm saying sex in general, right? Like when you were 20 years old and it was your second time having sex or whatever it is, like the feeling of sex by him that had so much like adrenaline, had all these emotions tied up into it. You were maybe trying to hide it, or you were trying to find different places to have sex in, or maybe she was hanging from a ceiling fan, or, all this stuff. But it's when you're 35 or 40, or you're even older than that, and you've been having sex for 20 years, it gets to be like, I've been there and done that. And it's not like something new for you. Just like if you were buying a new truck, you're excited about it for a couple of weeks, but then it's just your truck after a while. You're still proud of it. You still love it. You still take care of it. It's still great.
You're going to get hate for comparing a woman to a truck.
I'm not comparing a woman. I'm saying the act of sex. And I think everybody's like that. Even if sex is great. No, don't get me wrong. We haven't seen each other for 3 days and we're both busy at work. My wife's going to be like, hey, you need to get your ass home and take care of this shit because I haven't seen you in 3 days. You know what I mean? So and I'm the same way, but maybe I'm having a hard time illustrating what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is even if sex isn't as exciting or fun and stuff like that as it is, it's still as important as it was when you were younger. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, it's always exciting to me.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you. I mean, I can tell. Maybe it's different for people, but
I'm sure it is.
But like the story you told where you ran home and stuff like that. I don't have like stories like that for me.
Yeah.
But maybe it's I'm on. I also obviously had low testosterone, and I have to be on treatment to bring it back up. But I still get excited for sex, but never like that. What you just said, I love my wife. I love having sex with her, and maybe it is because we have it every other day, and I don't ever even think about it. You know what I mean? Because I know I'm gonna have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if I were to go a couple weeks without sex, yeah, you better believe I'm gonna be excited about it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. I don't know, but
I wanted to circle back. The reason I brought it, I said that was the last time I ever jumped through hoops. It was the last time I ever did anything like that, but I still did some things that, so we lived in that house that I'd lived with my first wife, and we had a master bedroom, nice, huge walk-in closet, everything. And she told me she didn't feel comfortable anymore. That was an excuse to not be, to not have sex. I don't feel comfortable in this bedroom because you were here with your first wife. We took a small bedroom and gave two of the kids the master bedroom. That didn't change. Then it was, I'm not comfortable. Mind you, we were living together as a family. We weren't married yet at this time. But she said, I'm not comfortable in this house because you lived in this house with your first wife. So I went and bought a $150,000 house from the house we were in was like a $80,000 house. In Oklahoma, that's not bad, you know,
No.
especially 20 years ago.
No.
So anyways, so I went and bought a $150,000 house, and I married her before we moved into the new house, because she said she was feeling guilty about having sex with me because we weren't married. So I married her. Nothing changed. Bought a $150,000 house because she wasn't comfortable in that house. Nothing changed. Everything she asked for, she controlled me with the promise, the hope of we are going to have a intimate relationship, a normal intimate relationship, if, you know, she kept that carrot dangling all the time. And so that is why it is such a big deal to me, because I lived through that, you know,
of course,
I've
man.
done everything you have asked me to do. And, you know, when I decided I was leaving, I'm done with this, then she wanted to give it to me. Every day she would call or text wanting me to come service her. Every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you had 8 years.
This is good for the fans and the listeners and me to get to know why you are the way you are. And I knew it before because you've told me a lot of these things, right? But I knew it before, but this is why you cut women out of your life, because you've been through that. I've been through the same things that you say. I've been through that, to where you have to beg for sex. And then even if I have to ask you for sex even one time, something's going in the wrong direction.
Right.
Something's not right. We got to figure that out. And sounds like you tried to figure that out, but you didn't have a second willing participant.
Yes.
And you've been through so much shit now. This is why you cut people out of your life so quick that aren't doing what you think they should be doing. And you're not wrong for it. And this is why this podcast exists, because based off things that you've been through, you're trying to get people not to make the same mistakes you did, because you wasted a long time getting hurt for the wrong person, and it was never going to get better.
Yep.
That sucks, doesn't it?
It does suck.
But at least you have a roadmap now to have a happy remainder of your life with a partner.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to settle now.
Absolutely not.
Right. So
that podcast that I was a guest on last week, they asked me if I felt like my life, everything I had done, been through, is what brought me to right now.
Yeah.
And maybe so. Maybe everything that I've done in my life is what brought me to now, where the advice that I give people can be beneficial to help them with their relationships.
Well, it's not because you're not giving advice based off like you reading books or going to college or being smart on the situation. It's based off of things that you went through.
Right.
100%. That's why you're here.
And
you know what I mean?
And seeing other people's.
It's just like being a cop. If you were a goody two shoes your whole life, you're probably not going to be a good cop.
Right.
And as far as life coaching goes, you're not going to be a life coach if you haven't been through the mill, and you have been. So, like I said, you're the perfect person to give advice, and it's based off these things. So we need to try to get that. I'm going to try to get that girl on the podcast, the girl I sent you about the sex, because we talk about this a lot.
I'd sent her a message, and she never responded. But
Did she not?
Try.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll try. But anyway, we got to get to see me emails real quick. All right, so first email is Jeanne Gates. She said, I sent you a DM a while back, but I never saw your answer. My question is, do you think it's possible to be in love with two people at the same time? My marriage was crumbling after over 30 years of emotional neglect. I felt dead inside, but kept the marriage going because of kids and religious beliefs. One day, while scrolling through my hometown Facebook group, I recognized the name of an old friend, and after I asked for my husband's permission, I contacted him. After a few weeks of a lot of texting, I realized that I loved him. After being honest with my husband, he started treating me better. He's never apologized for the emotional neglect, but he's been trying so hard to be a better husband. After 8 years of weekly therapy and healing my childhood trauma, I should be happy, but I'm not, because someone is going to get hurt in the long run. I appreciate your thoughts. Please take it easy on me. Thanks in advance. So I'm glad she said, please take it easy on me, because I wasn't going to.
So here's the deal. Is it possible to be in love with two people at the same time? I think it is possible, but highly unlikely that you are anybody is in love with two people at the same time. And here's the deal about the old friend that you messaged with and everything. You have not lived with that person. You've not paid bills with that person. You've not raised kids with that person. You have not, taken a shit with them in the next room. You haven't done anything with that person. You've gotten lip service for a few weeks. You've gotten, he's told you whatever he wants to tell you. But your husband that you've been with for 30 years, that you raised kids with, that you paid bills with, I believe that you had a love for him. You may not be feeling it. You obviously still love him. You had kids with him. You kept your marriage together, for those reasons with kids, and you've got that long history with him. If he is really working like you say he is, you really need to consider that, he is putting that effort in, that work into y'all's relationship. He is doing what he's supposed to try to salvage what you guys have left. If you've already made your mind up that you're done, and you don't want to give him the opportunity to, continue to work on that, don't string him out for years, and don't start anything with somebody else while you're still in it with him. But I answered your question. I think it's highly unlikely that you're in love with two people, but I'm not going to say it's impossible. And again, I can't stress enough, you have not been through life with this new guy. And to be honest with you, the fact that he is even carrying on this type of conversations with you, knowing that you are married, is it really the kind of guy that you would want to be with?
Nope.
So,
yep. My thing is, you're in a situation right now that you should have never been in. You should have never entertained a conversation with this guy in the first place.
No.
If my wife started to talk to somebody like that out of nowhere, then obviously something's lacking in my marriage, and I'd probably cut her loose right then. No. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little conclusive here. I don't think my wife would ever do anything like that. But you're in a situation right now that you should have never been in the first place, and you've got yourself into this situation. But Jason is exactly right. You've never done the things with this guy that you've done with your husband. I think she should discontinue contact with him altogether until she decides she doesn't want to be with her husband anymore.
150%.
Yeah.
Yes. No more. There should be zero contact with this other guy.
Not a how's your day? Nothing.
No, nothing. You don't need any influence from that person. And you need to really consider the 30 years that you have with your husband, of everything, all the turmoil that you guys have been through. And I would not stress too much about an apology for emotional, what did she word it as? Emotional neglect. I wouldn't worry too much about an apology for that right now. He is showing you, based on what you're saying, he's showing you that he's sorry by his actions of really trying to be better. So
yeah,
he's heard you. He's trying to put that into action. And I would not give that up so easily.
Yep. You're the one that got all three of these people in the situation, and you're going to have to be the one to get everybody out of it. Because the reason why someone's going to get hurt and you're going to get hurt too is because you decided. Nobody would have got hurt if you just wouldn't have entertained the conversation with him. And you're going to have to be the one that's the strong one and puts an end to it. You're the one that started it. You're the one that's got to finish it.
I've had women, just so you know, that have started messaging me through TikTok, and I've entertained the conversations a few times, where in the end, maybe 30 messages in, I guess I should probably let you know I'm married. Not one more single response from me. Not one.
None. Yep.
I will not entertain a married woman.
Yep.
Because I don't want to be I mean, if you are going to be talking to me and you're a married woman, well, I'm not going to be with you, because even if you left him, because then you're going to be talking to somebody else.
Yep.
I mean, that's how it's viewed.
Yep.
That's how, and I'm not saying, I am not trying to attack you.
No.
You were feeling that you were lacking emotional connectivity. You wanted an emotional connection you weren't getting from your husband, but you did it the wrong one. I mean,
yeah,
you can't get that from somebody else. If that's what you're going to do, you divorce, you end the marriage, and then you go look to find a connection with somebody.
Yeah, and maybe she's never been in a situation like this. She probably had innocent intentions.
I'm sure.
But now that you've been through it, now you know that if someone's that you don't even entertain this stuff in the beginning, because once you start, it's so hard to get out of. But you're going to have to now. Yeah. You got yourself into a tough situation. You can't go back. You can't change what you did. Do not beat yourself up over it. But you're going to have to get yourself out of it. And you're the only one that can do it. So
I wish you the very, very best to you and your husband.
I do too.
And I want the best I want what's best for both of you, whatever that is.
But. Yeah. And please keep us updated. Let us know, and hope we didn't get too wound up on you. But I know it's hard. I've been in those situations too. So I'm sorry if I was hard on you in the beginning, but you're going to be okay. You're just going to have to fix some things. So thanks for the email. Hey, I got an update from our boy Spencer.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah.
So he just reached back out. He said he was on episode 13 and his final court date was yesterday, and he was granted 50-50 joint custody of his daughter with joint medical decisions. And then he says God is good.
Awesome.
We did it.
Yeah.
We did it, boys.
I did a TikTok video about it. I didn't know that I saw that email, but I didn't want to wait for the. Well, somebody had asked me about him. Somebody had specifically asked me about him on TikTok, and I was like, "Yeah, I need to go ahead and give this update." And
good job, Spencer. That's awesome, man. I knew that you were going to get custody, but I didn't know, just because court's weird. But I had a feeling you were going to. I actually did pray for you. I actually went upstairs and I did pray for you, and so. And my prayer was most important, and that's the one that got you so just want to let you know. That'll be $50, sir. That's my prayer for you. I'm just kidding. Okay, good job. It's good to see that it's stuff from the podcast kind of comes together. It's good to see that. Yeah. And I know we're not taking credit for the fact that you got custody, but it's cool that we're getting to know all these people, and things are starting to come together. And I know you're going to be a great dad, Spencer. So yes. Congratulations. All right, we're on to a phone call now, and this phone call is from Gilbert. Gilbert says the podcast is thumbs up, and he said he started following you in May of 2020. He said that he agreed on 99% of everything that you spoke on. Well, recently asked Jason for advice on my 25-year marriage that I chose to end. So basically what he's saying is that he chose to end the relationship, but he's still trying, before the divorce is final, he's still thinking about reconciling. But I guess that the divorce is going to be final soon, but he still wants to talk about it because he thinks he's going to go ahead and go through the divorce, but he still wants to talk to you about it. So
I remember talking to him, having some messages with him.
Yeah.
So I won't give too much right now. I'll save it for the conversation with him, but yeah.
All right, let's get to it. Gilbert.
Hey, good morning, Gilbert.
What's going on, Jason?
Doing the podcast thing. I remember messaging with you a few weeks ago, and then he's read your emails to me. So bring me up to date. What's going on right now in the? I think you're dating somebody, and she's dating somebody, and the divorce is pending. But
yeah, I got notification yesterday that it'll be final now on the 26th or something like that.
Okay. But
it's just throughout the first contact we made, I had told you about being basically put second for the better part of 20 years. We were married total of 25. The first few were good, and as life progressed and things got in the way, and other people, family members, she had to take care of and stuff. I just more and more became second. And intimacy had dwindled down to, if I was lucky, 3 times a year. For the better part of the marriage, I would say at least 18 to 20 years, I came last.
Right.
Behind our daughter, which is no problem behind the daughter.
Yeah.
You know, but whenever in-laws got in the way and stuff like that, and
is that y'all's daughter together?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we just drifted. And if I was lucky, intimacy was 2 to 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Anniversaries, I can recall 4, maybe 5 times we actually had sex on our friggin' wedding anniversary.
Yeah. Did she ever give you reasons why? I mean, I'm sure y'all talked about it over the years. Did she tell you why?
I'm tired. My back hurts. I'm not in the mood. I got a headache.
Yeah.
Didn't we just talk about that?
Yeah, we did. I talked about it in an opening monologue. So,
and I wasn't perfect. I'm sure, my moodiness and my grumpiness had a big reflection of that. But she would never understand that my moodiness came from her behavior.
I can identify with that. And I've heard many men say, I'm kind of a dick, but I'm a dick because it's been 6 months since she's touched me or let me touch her. So it affects your mind and makes you act a different way. It's easy to do. It's easy to change who you are when you're being neglected, intimately. But it's the same for women. If they're being neglected emotionally, then it changes who they are too. And so it can be a tough, if she's not getting the emotional connection and you're not getting the physical connection, oftentimes it can create neither one of you are in it because neither one of you is getting what you need.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not blaming her, but in my opinion, she is the majority of where our issues stem from. Right. Her mother was very influential in her and her rest of her shakers. And then unfortunately, my soon-to-be ex-wife listened where her sisters didn't.
Yeah.
And, she was a great mother, not so good wife at times, but I told her the same. I think I'm a good dad, but I sucked as a husband quite often.
Yeah.
And you being a truck driver like myself, when I was younger, I wanted 70 plus hours.
Yeah. Sure.
To make money, raise a kid and, have everything and go here and go there. It ended up costing me in the end because, the kid grew up.
Right.
And I was around for things, but, I'd have, hindsight, I'd have done a lot of things different.
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah,
for sure.
But, like I said, I own my part in our failure, but you can only get, kicked in the nuts so many times before you just say, screw it.
Yeah. You lasted a lot longer than I did or would.
Yeah. That's what a bunch of my friends say. They're like, even a buddy of mine's wife said, most guys would have, stepped out, cheated, whatever you want to call it, the first or second time she denied intimacy.
Yeah.
And that's coming from a woman. And
look, I've been in the exact same situation as you, and like you, I didn't step out. I didn't go try to find it somewhere else because obviously, you want it from your wife. You want that intimacy from your wife. Any of us can go get sex. Even if we're married, we can go get it from somebody, but you want your wife to want you. It's that old song, I want you to want me, that's what it boils down to. I know that big issue that you're having right now is the idea of her giving somebody else what you wanted all these years. And I know that's definitely a big issue for a lot of men and some women. got a friend on TikTok that she really, really struggled with that when she went through her divorce, that, you know, I'm watching my husband give what I wanted all these years to another woman. And I told her what I'm about to tell you. For a period of time,
you said that.
She is who she is. And if she was able to deny you for 20 plus years, and put you second all that time, and you were working and providing, and, you know, you've admitted that you've made mistakes too through the marriage, but, you know, you were doing your part financially. And if she could not, over that many years, you know, come to some kind of reconciliation with you on the topic, it's not going to be different. She might initially, because it's exciting for somebody new, but it's going to be the same thing. So the way I ended up viewing it whenever I was feeling that way about my ex giving what I wanted to somebody else is I came to the realization it wasn't going to last for that guy. And so really I started kind of feeling sorry for like a new guy, because it was like, God, I know what he's about to go through because I've lived it. And so you need to convince yourself that what you see her giving to somebody else, what you've been through is what she's going to put the next person through also. So, and you don't want that.
I even told her that I feel sorry for the old boy, because I hope she do him like she done me.
Yeah.
You know, well, I'm not, you know, and, you know, and for me, like I said, I mean, she's a good person. It's just me and her just drifted apart.
Yeah.
You know, and you know how you know, when she told me, one of the things she told me whenever we talk about it had gotten so bad in the recent years that the thought of my touch disgusted her.
Ugh. At that point, that should have been the point, really. I mean, to call it.
It's hard to get out though, huh?
It is.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got a child together.
Yeah. It's hard, man.
For many years. Many years, we'd be arguing, and I would tell her, the only reason I'm here is for that little girl.
Yeah.
And that was a big mistake.
Well, the reason why our give a shitter breaks after a while is because we do put ourself through stuff for far too long. But I guarantee, Gilbert, now you're not gonna. The first sign that that's gonna happen with the next person you're gonna be with, you're gonna cut her loose quicker than probably what you should, because of what your ex put you through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got lucky. The lady I'm seeing now, she's pretty cool.
Oh, you are seeing somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually hard for me to accept a lot of her gestures.
Yeah. How long have you been? Because you're not even divorced isn't final yet, so you haven't been seeing her that long, right?
No. And you know, like I said, you know, we're pretty cool, and you know, we're pretty good friends and stuff like that. But a lot of times, you know, the gestures and the affection and compliments and shit that I get, I'm like, something wrong with you?
Yeah, you're not used to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think I've told you this before in a message that, and she may be 100% genuine. She may be, she may be, you know, the way she is interacting with you right now may be the way she is you may be with her for the rest of your life. I don't know. But you know that in the very beginning, you're getting the best of somebody. So, you know, what you're getting right now will likely slack off. Now, to what degree, you'll have to just wait and see. But,
yeah, definitely.
You know, don't expect that what it is right now, as far as compliments and affection and things of that nature, are going to be the same in 9 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you come out of a situation like that and you do have somebody who thinks that you are, you know, amazing and is telling you how wonderful you are and how amazing you are, man, I've been there too. And it puts you on a high It makes you feel fantastic, but that will slack off, guaranteed.
And then they put my guard up, you know.
Do you believe her?
And
Do you believe her when she tells you?
At first I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, yeah, like Jason said, you know, I mean, yeah, okay, it's new, I'm new, you know, and maybe I'm doing the same for her, you know, making her feel like she hadn't been treated in a while, you know, but we're a little while into it now, and she hasn't changed much, you know. And
that's good.
And even through all my trials and tribulations through all this divorce proceedings, you know, she knows 99% of everything, and you know, she knows that I even thought about giving her a shot, you know, back with, you know, the ex-wife. And,
she knew about that?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that because in your email you said you were considering reconciliation, but I didn't want to ask you because your current girlfriend might listen to this. So I want to ask you now, are you still considering reconciliation? No,
I was given a comment the other day because me and soon-to-be ex were, you know, texting, and she asked, you know, when am I going to get my paperwork, my final paperwork? And of course, we started getting pissy with each other. And when I told her, you'll have it soon, you know, I talked to a lawyer, and they told me this. And it's pathetic, but you know, she goes, her birthday's coming up in about a week or so, and she goes, thanks for the birthday present. Because in previous comments, I had told her, you know, because she's flying out of state to go with her friend, and you know what's going to happen. And, you know, so be it. She's a, you know, soon to be single woman, and that's fine. And she knows how sensitive that topic was between me and her, because there was no birthday sex for us.
Yeah.
You know, at one, I said, what do you want for your birthday? And multiple times she told me, for you not to ask me for sex on my birthday is what I want for my birthday.
Good grief, dude.
You know, and that was not recent. That was from the mid-90s. From the mid-90s to about 2002, we were okay. And then as, you know, family health problems, she got involved taking care of family, and me and her drifted apart. I started working more. You know, I could hear that over the years. At least every 3 or 4 years, I would hear some shit like that. So getting back to that, when, you know, she knew what she was saying when she said, thanks for the birthday present.
Yeah.
You know, I guess gave her a free pass to go be with her man if she hasn't already. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
You know, I said, well, here's another one. Here's another one. I gave her a middle finger. You know, here's another person. You know?
Yeah.
And, you know,
it's so much.
It is what it is. It's a situation. You know, I mean.
Yeah.
How old is y'all's daughter now?
25.
Oh.
And she hates me.
She hates you.
Yeah. Yeah. She won't talk to me. I've talked to her twice since I left about 4 months ago.
Is it as a result of this divorce?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Man.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you know, me leaving and, you know, having another woman and stuff like that.
Well, she'll come around, I'm sure, in time, and maybe want to hear your side, your version, because if she's tight with mom and she's getting mom's version, I mean, it may not all be accurate.
Unfortunately, her mother used to drag her into most of our fights.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of her ways to get my attention is to say, well, if you don't talk to me, the kid probably won't talk to you. You know, there were words and stuff I called her mother. There was no husband should ever call his wife that, you know, actually cared for each other. And she said, I bet you won't tell the kid that. And she marched down to my daughter's room and said, your dad has something to tell you of what he called me a little while ago. You know, and being the straightforward guy I think I can be, and most of the time am, I said, yes, this is what I told your mother, and this is why I told it. And one particular, the daughter, you know, she goes, y'all leave me the hell out of y'all's fight.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't care. You know? By this time, she was an adult. You know, she was probably about 22, 21, something like that. I mean, she just was livid and yelled at both of us to leave her the hell out, you know, out of our fights. And I looked at her mother and I said, what did I tell you?
Yeah, well, she's right. It's not her place to be.
You know?
I mean, she doesn't need to be in y'all's disagreements.
You know, and you know,
age.
part of me, yeah, part of me telling her mother over the years, the only reason I'm sticking around was for the kid, was a disservice to my daughter and her mother and myself, because I probably wouldn't be in this predicament now with the daughter if I'd have left years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and so people that are thinking about staying just for the kids, it might backfire on you, because currently it's backfired on me.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that do
think,
and have, you know, once the kids turned 18, they were out, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe someday whenever you and the girl's mother isn't fighting all the time and you get some distance between that, maybe she'll entertain a relationship with you again. You know, once she doesn't have to feel like she's in the middle of it, where you guys you feel like you don't have to talk anymore, you and the ex-wife, and then she sees your healthy relationship with your new girl, and then maybe she'll entertain it then. But she's probably just, you know, worn out from it, and the mom bringing her into it like that, like forcing her into it.
Pathetic.
That's messed up, man. That's literally the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. But she knew my girl was my Achilles heel.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, because to the day she dies, you know, I mean, to the day I die, rather, you know, there's nothing I wouldn't do for her.
Yeah, of course.
Have you told her that?
Oh yeah, she knows. You know, and I guess about a month or so ago, one of her pets that she had for the last 20 years or so, fell in the pool and drowned. And, you know, and where I live, we had a major freeze. Everything was shut down. And I got a phone call from her mother, and hysterical. And there I go driving my happy ass through ice storms, you know, in a 2-wheel drive car, you know, 40 miles away. And there wasn't nothing going to stop me to get into my little girl and, you know, comfort her. And, you know, she talked to me a little bit like that. But
yeah.
Since then, we made no contact, you know. I've tried, you know.
Where do you live, Gilbert?
In Texas. In South Texas. Yeah. Yeah. Just, I guess, you're in OKC, so I'm probably about 8 or 9 hours away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You live by the beach?
No, not that far.
Oh.
But, yeah. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours north of the beach. But yeah, we had some crazy weather, and, you know, all of Texas, snow and ice. And, yeah, whenever, you know, like I said, that little girl, she means the world to me. And, you know, hopefully someday soon, and sooner than later, you know, she'll say, hey, you know, I want to hear your side, you know, not, and, you know, interference with anybody. She, you know, she's smart enough to make her own decision. You know, a very educated young lady and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. I've talked to my son about, you know, why. I mean, I've never put my son's mom down to him, but I have talked to him about, you know, why we divorced and, you know, kind of what went down. I mean, I spared some of the details, but he has a very clear understanding of why we got divorced. And I think it's okay for kids to know the details of what happened because I'm sure that his mom's probably given her version as well. And so he can kind of make his own determination about what really went down. I mean, he was too young to realize. He was 7 when I divorced her. So, but he's old enough now. He can make a determination, and I'm sure your daughter will come around and she's probably already hearing, you know, mom's version, and at some point she can hear yours. And, you know, there may not be, I mean, maybe both of you were to blame for, you know, it all falling apart, you know, and she did this and you did that. But the bottom line is, based on what you've described for that many years, for there to be virtually no intimacy, for her to tell you things like that she's repulsed by the thought of your touch, to bring the daughter into the arguments. I mean, the whole situation, the whole marriage sounds like it was, you know, pretty unhealthy. And, I mean, maybe both of you were just doing the best you could, doing all that you could, what you thought was the right thing to do at the time. But here you are now, and I don't think that you have made a mistake at this point. I think that a fresh start for both of you is probably what the doctor ordered. based on that much over that many years. I'm not sure that either one of you could ever come back to a healthy point. So I wouldn't look back, and I wouldn't. People may tell you, just like I said, you lasted longer than me. Look, don't ever let somebody tell you should have got out sooner, because you did what you thought was the right thing to do at the time, and that's done. You can't kick yourself because if you took too long or took longer than you should have. You did what you thought was the right thing at the time. So accept that and try to move forward.
You know, I'm of the mindset that if given the opportunity, I'd probably do it again. Just maybe do a few things different
with her.
You know, yeah. You know, because like I said, we started out great. You know, always best friends, going and doing things together, and just, you know, time and life, you know, separated us.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can be one of the biggest assholes you ever meet in your life. You know, it all depends on you.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, my behavior towards you is a direct reflection of how you treat me. Simple with everybody I meet.
Yeah. I've lived that way too. I've had that same mindset. And then a majority of my life, when it comes to my relationship, my romantic relationship, I do not live by that credo. I do in friendships for sure. But when it comes to my romantic life, I have felt that is counterproductive to have that mindset that if you're treating me bad, I'm going to not treat you so good. My mindset has always been, I'm going to do the next right thing with my partner, my romantic partner. And if they're not treating me, I mean, I've changed now to a degree that I'm not going to put up with it very long if I'm not being treated right. But in the past, even if they weren't treating me right, I still wanted to treat them the best, because I felt like if I'm a dick, that's not going to help. If I yell at them, it's not going to help. If I respond, it's not going to help. So as long as I am treating them with the utmost respect and being romantic and being, the man that I know I'm supposed to be, then I know it's all on them if they don't respond. If they don't treat me right, it's not because I was a dick. It's not because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. It's because they just didn't. It's on them that they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And so I feel comfortable in my experiences in saying, when I say I divorced all three of my wives, I did what I was supposed to do in all three of my marriages, and I was not a dick, and I did not yell at them. And I'm telling you this because going forward, here you are now in your future relationships. If she starts to slack off, if she's not treating you right, don't respond. Don't say, well, the way I treat you is a direct reflection on how you treat me. I want you to have the mindset that you are going to be a good man, regardless of what she does. And if she doesn't treat you right for too long, cut her loose and find somebody else that will treat you right. But don't be responsive. Don't respond if somebody's treating you poorly to treating them poorly, because then you're just in a vicious cycle.
Yeah, and you're right that I've started to get a different mindset as well.
Yeah,
because it didn't work. The getting treated bad and then treating someone accordingly or even worse backfires.
Yeah, every time.
But at the time it was like maybe she'll wake up, maybe she'll get tired of me hitting her with a bigger stick every time she hit me with a stick.
Yeah. I know.
And
a lot
I'm
of
sure
people
she
do
got
that.
And I'm sure she did the same thing back. He's being a dick to me, so let me be a bigger bitch to him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That vicious cycle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like on my days off, Jason, Zach, I would stay outside, cutting grass, washing cars, whatever.
Yep.
Just to
stay away. Yeah. I've been there, man. I've been there. Like, that's what I told my current wife. I was like, when me and my wife first started dating, like, I didn't realize how much I loved her because she was kind of forced to move in with me because of her circumstances. And I remember all my previous relationships. And after a couple months, I realized, I was like, hey, I haven't one time gotten tired of this girl or like wished that she was gone, or I wish I had some free time. Like, I've always been okay with her being around. And I thought that was strange because I would literally stay at work for extra hours just so I didn't have to go home. You know what I mean? And what kind of life is that if you have to stay away from your own house that you're paying for because you're getting treated so poorly that you just don't want to be there, you know?
I mean, for many of my early years in my career, I mean, I worked 6 days and just took off enough to get my 34 restart and went right back to work.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, partially it's because we needed the money, but it came easily because I was like, well, there's nothing at home. Might as well go to work, make some money.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've been there too.
Yeah.
And here not in a lot of negatives. So we had some good times. We did, you know.
Yeah.
We had some great times over the years. So I'm not going to take that from her, or myself. But at least for me, the not so good always outweighed the good. And I used to try to explain that to her, and she'd always come back with, "Oh, bullshit! We have a great marriage, yada yada. We go here, we do this. You know, you have this kind of car, you have a Harley, you have this, you have that. The kid has a brand new car." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's all fine and dandy. What about me and you?"
Yeah.
You know, and we're okay. And then she'd say, "Well, I talk to my friends and they don't have relations with their husbands like you say most people do." I'm like, "Well, then that's good for them."
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
If someone's and his wife and her husband are okay with twice a year, more power to them.
Yeah.
Well, whenever the divorce rate in America is over 50%, and it's very likely that those friends that they're talking to is probably going to be in that 50%, then probably don't listen to those people. Focus on your marriage, because chances are the people you're talking about is going to be in the 50% as well. So,
so I mean, it's just it was just ended up being a perfect storm.
Yeah.
And then, like, back to how you asked about the reconciliation. I mean, what was what was hooking me was all the, I can't be that woman no more. I'm getting old. I need to treat you right, and we need to be happy. And I'm not going to be that person. It always reflect back to that. But the instant I said something that didn't kind of line up with what she say, it was a big F you.
Well, and she's telling you that simultaneously dating someone else, right?
At one point, no, and then currently, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, because did go back end of December, and we lasted all of about 43 hours.
You counted it down to the minute, huh?
No, we didn't. It was a day and a half tops. And it was, she promised she would do something, and she did.
Yeah. I want you to keep us updated on how this goes.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. I'll have to call you back in 9 months to see how the new one, if I kicked her out yet.
Yeah. No, I'm genuinely interested. Nothing more I love more than doing this show than hearing back to people we've already talked to.
If you've got a calendar in your phone, go make a note right now as soon as we get off the phone, and put a note in for like 60 or 90 days from now to send me another message with an update of how things are going with the ex, with the divorce, and with the new girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just keep watching on TikTok and your podcast, stuff like that.
Well, I appreciate you.
Messages.
Yeah, you can always message me for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate y'all letting me, share my little bit of drama.
No, I appreciate you coming on the show. Maybe somebody else will hear this that is in a similar situation, and they can hear that they're not the only one. You know what I mean? So it's good.
Definitely, because if someone can learn from my mistakes, great. Because
that's what I say.
I wish I had a little bit of a heads up, before I chose the path I chose.
Yeah.
And if anybody thinks they can get divorced and it be friendly, they're wrong, because I was one of those fools that thought it could have been friendly.
Yeah. Well, you may be able to later, but it's never very, very likely in the beginning. I mean, never, because my most recent ex-wife, we're still very friendly with each other, but we're we're the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
At any rate,
like,
do what?
go ahead.
No, you.
There was my current right now. I mean, her divorce was very easy. So much where the judge asked her, "Are y'all sure you're getting divorced?" You know. And then I've even met the guy, and he's a real nice guy. You know, we've been around each other 2-3 times, and we treat each other respectfully, and have had a few good laughs, and even had a few drinks together. So.
Gilbert, I'm going to tell you this, and then we got to get off here. But when I went to file the divorce papers for my most recent wife, she was with me, and she kissed me in the elevator and told me she loved me. And I said, very few people can go file for divorce together and kiss each other in the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure.
You should have took it to the next level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I should have hit the L button. Yeah.
Hit the that's what that emergency stop button's for, buddy.
All right, Gilbert.
All right, guys. Thanks again.
Hey, thanks for calling, buddy.
Hey, we'll talk to you soon, Gilbert. I appreciate you.
All right, bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, man. Tough situation again, but the main thing he needs to focus on is that rekindling that relationship with the daughter.
Yes.
The divorce paper's going to be final. It sounds like. Move her to the back burner and focus on a relationship with your daughter. Yeah. And it would help for the relationship with your daughter if you did get along with your ex-wife. It would help, but I wouldn't try too hard. I'd probably try to avoid her altogether
for a while
because it could get toxic again, and then your daughter's going to feel like she has to pick sides.
And just make sure that going forward in the relationship with this girl, or if she's not the one, the next one, that you learn from any mistakes that you made in this marriage. Make sure that you're, conscientious of that. You've admitted that you made mistakes. You did. So learn from that. Don't make the same mistakes in the next relationship. And, maybe you can make it a successful one if she's if she's learned her lessons as well. At any rate, I think that's all we got for today. You ready to wrap it up?
Yeah. Yep. That's all we got. So I appreciate the phone call, Gilbert, and I thought this was a good episode. So.
All right. May not agree with everything that we say here, but one thing's for sure, always going to shoot you straight.
You have been listening to The Straight Shooter Show. Come back every Wednesday for new episodes.